My name is Yikai. I'm a fifth year doctoral candidate in clinical counseling psychology program at our department. So my research really focus on identifying culturally specific mechanism of change in evidence-based therapeutic interventions to promote psychological health. That's kind of the first aim. From that, I focus on developing culturally adaptive, scalable interventions to further kind of expand the accessibility. I also dedicate time to evaluate the impact of existing therapeutic interventions to promote health among marginalized children and families. It's significantly meaningful because predominantly the existing evidence-based therapeutic interventions oftentimes is developed and validated and examined predominantly within a Western cultural context. Despite extensive cultural research, there's still kind of a limited understanding, particularly at the level of a mechanism, to understand how change happens, and then further, how might we as researchers and clinicians to leverage culturally specific insights to precisely promote change in psychological health. So that's why my work is very, very meaningful to me. And for me, translationally, I want to dedicate a significant amount of focus to translate what we find in a way in a lab to accessible and feasible and acceptable interventions within a community. In last year, I published a paper illustrating kind of how holding dialectical views of contradictions, for instance, seeing contradictions as a part of life, which is an essential belief prevalent within Asian cultures. My paper illustrated holding that belief is not associated with increased negative emotions, which is often found within European American participants based on kind of what we know about cognitive dissonance. And that particular finding kind of suggests some therapeutic interventions, particularly leveraging the concept of holding contradictions, dialectical perspectives, might hold significant values for Asian population, for instance, where dialectical views are very prevalent. And my dissertation project is very much situates within kind of this understanding that the dialectical perspective for Asians can be a very powerful mechanism for them to leverage and help them navigate day-to-day stressful experiences. I aspire to be a community engaged scientist and practitioner, and in this context, effective dissemination within the community. I see myself actively attending kind of conferences, having conversation with not only researchers, clinicians, but also family advocates, perhaps policymakers, to really learn their challenges, learn the questions they're thinking through, and also share what I see as a researcher, what I found as a researcher, as well as a clinician. Vitalizing that relationships is really important for me because only through relationships it really allows the insights from different aspects to really synergistically work together to inform both research as well as clinician. From that perspective, it kind of elevates the findings outside the lab or outside the therapy room into a broader scope. I'm kind of a big believer and advocate and a practitioner of mindfulness. And then for me, a contemplative practice comes in different forms. And it can be me sitting down on a cushion, meditating, spending 5 minutes making a coffee, walking in the park, and kind of gazing into the trees and listening to the birds. Kind of contemplative practices is a very restorative for me.